You're watching Prime Time News live here on News First, your number one news provider. It's time now for Action TV.
The foundation stone for the Digana Sports Complex in Raghavalla, Kandy was laid in 2004 to coincide with the 10th anniversary of the former president's ascension to power. Construction of the complex is yet to be completed, and Action TV first revealed the state of the stadium on the 11th of March 2012. The portfolio of sports and industries in the province was vested with the chief minister of the area at the time, and an allocation of over 1.01 billion rupees was set aside for the project. By the time the initial Action TV revelation was aired, 7 years after the laying of the foundation stone, a total of 250 million rupees from the 1.01 billion allocated for the project had been spent. This money had been spent on a private firm that specializes in consultancy services in the engineering sector. Incidentally, since the services provided by this firm was filled with numerous errors, a further 23.5 million rupees had to be allocated to rectify these errors. There are several activities that need to be carried out prior to commencing a construction project of this nature, which the firm in question had overlooked. An investigation report compiled by the Presidential Investigations Division reveals that what was carried out under the guise of consultancy services was in fact a large-scale financial fraud. The report points out that while 15 million rupees had been set aside for consultancy services for this project, the then Secretary to the Provincial Ministry of Sports and Industries had approved a payment of 22.72 million rupees for this purpose. It also points out that the Secretary in question had defied the decision taken by the ministers of the Provincial Council during the tender procedure for this project. The report adds that a part of the consultancy work could have been handed over to the Provincial Engineering Services Department. However, the decision of the former secretary to hand over complete responsibility of consultancy services to a private firm was a mistake that was committed intentionally. The former secretary was also part of the Digana Sports Complex Construction Committee's procurement board. The Central Provincial Council has suffered a loss of 24.77 million rupees due to the Digana Sports Complex, which remains incomplete. The presidential investigation recommends that all officials involved in this incident be suspended and that the money that was spent be recovered from either the officials or the contractors.
The Sadaham Puja Person Zone, sponsored by News First, was held for the second day today. Now, the Person Zone commenced last evening near the Murgam Vihare in Ratnapura. Let's now cross over via live Digi transmission to Ratnapura. A large crowd flocked to the Sadaham Puja Person Zone after it was declared open yesterday. Now, people visiting the Person Zone can witness the Person Pandal and lanterns that are on display until the 29th of this month. The News First mobile studio has also been set up at the Person Zone, granting the opportunity for talented youngsters to participate in screen tests. Screen tests will be held once again tomorrow from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. You're witnessing live visuals from the Sadaham Puja Person Zone in Ratnapura, which is being held near the Murgam Vihare in Ratnapura.
Welcome back to the news.
On to more local news now. Speaker Chamal Rajpaksa says that the state sector has grown to an extent where the country can no longer support it. He made this statement during a function held in Hambantota today. Construction work on the new two-story building for the Katuwana Pradesh Sabha commenced this morning under the auspices of Speaker Chamal Rajpaksa. Over the past 7 to 8 years, the state sector has grown at a rapid pace and the country can no longer support it. However, the current president increased the number of state employees to 1.4 million. How are we to pay their salaries and other allowances? Therefore, all of you have a very important role to play to ensure the development of the country as well as your survival. If we boost production levels, then we will not collapse. If we don't improve the productivity, there is no point even in the Mattala airport that was constructed.
On tonight's Words of Wisdom segment, we take a look at some famous words of an entrepreneur whose creations continue to delight children and adults today.
We keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things. because we're curious and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. Walt Disney, entrepreneur, 1901 to 1966.
Priyani Susila, the teacher who was made to kneel in the presence of students at a school by a local government politician recently, has requested to be transferred to a school with a safe environment. She made this request at a media briefing held in Kurunagala today.
The president too spoke to me due to the influence of the media. I made a humble request from him to ensure that justice be served to all teachers and to ensure that such incidents will not take place at any given time and to any public servant. I requested a transfer to the Ma Ussa Mahavidyalaya since my husband works there. However, I have to travel via Navagattegama to reach that school. Therefore, I fear that I may once again have to encounter certain problems when traveling on the road. I am expecting a school which is located in an area which does not require me to travel through by roads and a school to which I can travel safely. Hence, the most suitable school is a UB Waninayaka National School in Galgamuwa.
All of this happens because of unnecessary interference in education. We too make a request to the president, just as this teacher, to stop political interference in the school system. If politicians enter schools and take decisions regarding administrative matters of the school, then we request that such behavior be stopped.
පාසල් ඇතුළට ඇවිල්ලා පාසල් තුල කරන රාජකාරී කටයුතු පිළිබඳව ඒගොල්ලෝ තීන්දුව తీරන ගන්නවා නම් ඒක වහාම නවත්තන්න කියන එක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the school principals and teachers collective of Nathandia staged a demonstration today in protest against the teacher being made to kneel before students at a school by a politician. The protesters, who converged at the Nathandia town, demanded that such politicians should not be granted nominations for the upcoming Northwestern Provincial Council elections.
In more local news, an individual was killed and 4 others were injured when a group of people travelling on the footboard of a train met with an accident.
According to our correspondent, the accident occurred when the group of individuals collided with a lorry parked in close proximity to the railroad. The railway control room says the individuals were travelling in a train plying from Mardana to Kalutara. The injured have been admitted to the Lunawa hospital.
And up next is the President's Diary. President Mahinda Rajapaksa visited the historic Situlpawa Rajamaha Vihara today and engaged in religious observances. The President also inspected development work at the Situlpawa Sacred Ground. The President declared open the new retreat hall and water supply system constructed at the premises for the convenience of devotees visiting the sacred grounds. The President was also presented with a copy of the book Ruhune Dhammadeshana, authored by Venerable Vitradeniye Vajravansathera. A leaflet on the protection of artifacts compiled by the Archaeological and Cultural Association of Nalanda College for distribution among devotees was presented to the President. The President met and inquired into the well-being of Chief Incumbent of the Situlpawa Rajamaha Vihara, Venerable Mattaramba Hemaratnatera.
The suspects in the bomb attack targeting former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca were produced before Colombo High Court Judge Kumudini Vikramasinghe today. The defendants in this case are Servaraja Kirubakaran alias Alsa Mohammed, Shanmugalingam Suryakumar and Thambaya Pratap. The defendants are facing 230 charges, including plotting to assassinate former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca between the 1st of January 2006 and the 28th of April 2006 in Colombo, Rabukkana and Balivaria, with other persons as yet unknown to the prosecution, using the woman Mohammed Nasser Mohammed Siddi alias Durga. Hearings of the case were postponed to the 23rd of September today, as the second defendant in this case did not have legal representation.
The case pertaining to the charges of contempt of court against Minister Rishad Badiuddin with regard to the incident involving the Manam Magistrates Court was taken up in the Court of Appeal today. The case was taken up before a bench comprising of the President of the Court of Appeal, C. Skandaraja, and Justice Malini Gunratna. The court referred the case to courtroom 107 of the Court of Appeal. The case will be taken up before Justices Sisira Diabru and PWDC Jayathilaka. The case was filed by 2 President's counsels and 5 other lawyers, claiming that Minister Rishad Badiuddin had attempted to exert pressure over the Mana magistrate and was in contempt of court.
The police officer who was arrested along with the Homagama district judge on charges of soliciting a bribe of 300,000 rupees to deliver a favourable verdict to a woman was further remanded today. Colombo Chief Magistrate Gihan Pilapitiya ordered the suspect policeman be further remanded until the 28th of this month. Homagama District Judge Sunil Abesingha, who was arrested in connection with this incident, was then released on bail, also appeared in court today. Hearings will reconvene on the 28th of this month.
On to business news tonight. Income generated through exports during the month of April has declined by 6.8% in comparison to April 2012. According to the latest statistics from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, the decrease was driven largely by weak global demand for agricultural goods.
According to the central bank, income generated through agricultural goods such as tea and rubber have dropped by 0.9%. Income through industrial exports during the month of April has dipped by 7.5% in comparison to April 2012. The central bank notes that this is a decline of around $42 million. The textile and garment sector recorded a negative growth of 15%, while the income generated through rubber products recorded a decline of 5.3%. The food and beverage sector suffered a loss of 27.8%. While export income decreased during the month of April, expenditure on imports rose by 5.7%. As a result, the trade deficit for April 2013 increased by 19.2% to $825.4 million. The Central Bank of Sri Lanka also revealed today that the government would be obtaining a loan of $254 million through the issuing of Sri Lankan development bonds. Development bonds amounting to $90 million would mature in 3 years, while development bonds amounting to $164 million would mature in 5 years.
Western Provincial Council Minister Udaya Gamampila, speaking at a media briefing convened today, commented on a challenge that was allegedly extended recently by Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne.
Rajitha Senaratne garu amuttuma eda mama anaweki pala kala ආකාරයෙන්ම වාදය මගහැර පලා ගොස් තිබෙනවා.
As I warned prior to this, Honourable Minister Rajitha Senaratne has left the road and fled. He is staying in an abandoned house, waving a sword and asking where his foes are. He told me that he did not extend a challenge for a debate. The 29th of May was his 63rd birthday. At an event held in Beruwala in view of this, he clearly extended this challenge. This was reported in the media on the 30th of May. The Sirasa Final Cut program that night was dedicated entirely to his speech. On that day, on the Maubima newspaper, it was printed in large letters, "No police and land powers for the North." Provincial councils will not be abolished if I resign from the position of provincial minister. The powers of provincial councils will not reduce. It will not have any effect on the fight to weaken the powers of provincial councils. Therefore, there is no connection between my leaving the provincial council and the removing of the powers of the provincial councils. He affirmed that he is against the provincial councils by saying that holding a provincial ministerial portfolio is wrong. If so, I am prepared to resign from my ministry.
Meanwhile, when questioned by journalists at a media briefing convened today, Minister Dr. Rajitha Senaratne responded to the statement made by Udaya Gamampila.
I did not call him for a debate, neither did I call anyone else for a debate. After 25 years, I am not crazy to go for a debate. There is a leech trying to cling on to me to show that he too is a big shot. I will cast this leech aside.
Let's now take a look at the newspaper cartoon of the day.